on upside down. Look at this. But that's okay. Gregory was in tears of laughter, but in true Grandpa form and a few well-chosen words, he reattached the handle and it worked perfectly fine again. Jeffrey's memory when he was helping Grandpa do his favorite hobby, selling stuff at the flea market. Grandpa was getting too old to manage all the unpacking and packing up of his wares, so Jeffrey offered to assist. He would watch his grandfather, barter back and forth and negotiate prices. One lady had purchased a vacuum. Now, there's obviously a vacuum thing going on.
Several.
And she had returned it because she felt it wasn't working properly. Grandpa gave her back her money, but the conversation got a little heated. Now, you have to remember, Grandpa's in his late 80s by this point. And after a few well-chosen profanities, which were exchanged by both of them, and I won't repeat it. If you really want to know, talk to me later. Grandpa was feisty. And so he just gave her a few well-chosen words back, and because he was feisty, and because he was a senior, he was not going to back down. He was right, and that was it. Lindsay remembered the time Grandpa showed up at the door looking for his cell phone. We had a little problem with those cell phones. He thought he might have left it in my car because I had taken him to one of his doctor's appointments earlier in the day. It was around dinner time, so I invited him in to stay for supper. I was serving one of those fresh pizzas I just picked up at Costco after his appointment, and he knew I'd picked it up from Costco, and he asked how much I'd paid for it. Always asked the price. I figured he must have liked it. But then when we asked him if he was enjoying it, in true Grandpa form, he says, "Tastes like shit." That was our Grandpa.
That is.
And what I said, Grandpa always states what's on his mind. He had a tough life when he was young, so his demeanor could be very tough as well. But for the past year or so, Grandpa had mellowed, and he was very appreciative of everything we did. He had no problem stating his sincere gratitude. As his health declined, he would let me take care of him a little bit more and a little bit more, and put up less of a fuss when I tried to help him. Whether I was trying to give him a desperately needed haircut, I don't cut hair, but he let me cut his hair. Or when I tucked him into bed because he was just so exhausted. Or I just sat and held his hands trying to warm up his purple fingers. Grandpa's health declined very rapidly during the last 2 months. He went from walking the long hallway in the dining room, because he was in a retirement home for the last 7 months, and he was doing it unassisted, and then he went to needing a walker, and then he went to needing oxygen 24/7. Even to have him over to our house for Father's Day was a huge effort on his part. He no longer wanted to eat. He was exhausted. Even when we celebrated his 95th birthday a couple of weeks ago, he only managed to eat a bite of his favorite food, ice cream. Grandpa had had enough. A few days after that, Grandpa had another fall and ended up in the hospital. The staff there, very nice and kindly, said they recommended that he moved into palliative care because his body was shutting down. I got a call from the hospital one night from the nurse saying that his lungs were becoming congested, but they had given him a couple of meds to help. Alex and Gregory went to visit them the next day. Shortly after they had arrived, Grandpa passed away. In my mind, Grandpa waited for his son to arrive, and then he knew it would be okay to leave. Mm-hmm. We were very fortunate that Grandpa did not suffer, and he died peacefully. Grandpa will have a special place. I did so well so far. Grandpa will have a special place in our hearts, and he will always be missed. This is my tribute to you. Love, Kim, your favorite daughter-in-law.
Before we say prayers, I'll give you a chance if there's anything that we've missed, but I just want to read another little piece of scripture, and I'm not going to talk much, I promise, just a little teeny bit. I'm obligated. More importantly, there's this psalm, it's Psalm 139. So again, this psalm is thousands of years old, and this is somebody who has discovered that God is present. I don't know what happened, but something happened for this person that suddenly discovers that God is not distant, not an idea, but in fact close and near and powerful. And, well, hear the words. Lord, you have searched me and known me. You know when I sit down and when I rise up, and you discern my thoughts from far away. You search out my path and my lying down and are acquainted with all my ways. Even before a word is on my tongue, Lord, you know it completely. You hem me in behind and before, and you lay your hand upon me. Such knowledge is too wonderful for me. It's so high I cannot attain it. Where can I go from your spirit? Where can I flee from your presence? If I ascend to heaven, you're there. If I make my bed in Sheol, you're there. If I take the wings of the morning and settle at the farthest limits of the sea, even there your hand shall lead me. Your right hand shall hold me fast. If I say, surely the darkness shall cover me, and the light around me become night, even the darkness is not dark to you. The night is as bright as the day, for darkness is as light to you. It was you who formed my inward parts and knit me together in my mother's womb. I praise you, for I am fearfully and wonderfully made. Wonderful are your works. This I know very well. My frame was not hidden from you when I was being made in secret, intricately woven in the depths of the earth. Your eyes beheld my unformed substance, and in your book were written all the days that were formed for me, when none of them as yet existed. How weighty to me are your thoughts, O God, how vast the sum of them. I try to count them, they're more than the sand. I come to the end, I am still with you. Just love that song. I love that as well as Nick's family and you, friends, as well as you know him, someone knew him even better. Imagine that. Lord, you've searched me and know me. You know when I sit up and when I rise up. You discern my thoughts. You search out my path and my lying down. You're acquainted with all my ways. Even before a word is on my tongue, Lord, you know it completely. Imagine knowing Nick that well. Imagine knowing what he was going to say before he said it. You'd have time to duck. Think how great that would be. Because he could be direct and he could be determined, especially when he had something to say. And God knows that and loves that about him. And imagine knowing all his ways. He had so many ways. We heard them, from tumbling and hiding and pretending to farm but not being able to farm, and washing dishes but then becoming a cook and not really knowing how to cook but figure out how to do it, and eventually the man could bake pies, you know? Mastering languages, playing the mute when the right language wasn't available, crossing the Alps, so many ways. So many ways. Running a rooming house and doing everything for the railway, and being a husband and a father and a father-in-law, and best of all, a grandfather. God knows Nick through all of these things and more, and loves him. That's what the psalm says. Where can I go from your spirit? Where can I flee from your presence? If darkness shall cover me, the light around me becomes like night. Even darkness is not dark to you, it said. All around the world, from the Ukraine through Europe to Montreal, Parry Sound, back to Montreal to Toronto, God was there. In the dark, hard times, and he had lots of those. In the good times, he had joyous times. I mean, the escape, the freedom, the coming to Canada, there's a joy in that. Meeting and making a life with Maria, that's a joy. Having a son who would marry so well and produce the grandchildren that would fill his life, that's a joy. Eating pierogies and cabbage rolls and cake.
Yes, that's cabbage
And cake. Finding the right bit of junk and with a little work turning it not only into a treasure, but also into a profit. Wow. Nick has had a life of light and dark and struggle and joy. And with his hands and his mind, he has overcome every imaginable obstacle. His stories take your breath away. God knows them all and loves him. That's what that psalm said. How weighty are your thoughts, O God, how vast the sum of them. I try to count them, they're more than the sand. I come to the end and I'm with you. We can share more than the psalmist's amazement. We could also share his faith in this moment. I come to the end, it said. I am still with you. If we believe this at all, we could be assured that Nick continues to be with God, embraced by God, loved by God. And we can be glad. And if there's anything in the next life that needs fixing, he's on it. It's good. So before I invite you into a little prayer with me, I would ask, have we missed something that we need to share about Nick? Does anyone want to say something that we missed?
Can I just?
Yes, please.
I cannot help but say something about Nick. We met Nick about, I think, 3-4 years ago when we launched the Open Arms program from our First Alliance Church. And I know Nick. I sometimes talk to him. We live in the same building, the condo beside the church. And sometimes I see your father sitting in the lounge and I come and we talk, okay? And I said, Nick, do you enjoy our program? Oh yes, immensely. I love it. In behalf of our pastor who started this, her name is Pastor Kathy Klassen, and she's not here today. She's out of town. But when I learn, and we learn from here, from Linda, in our office, I said, and Berna called me and I said, okay, let's go, of course. And I have my 3 people here with me, my friends, Veronica, Berna, and Frank. So we are representing our Alliance Church, and the program is very well, and he really enjoy it. This is the first one sometimes. We start every Tuesday, 2 to 4, and Nick is there already at 1 o'clock. Yeah. So I said, Nick, what can I do for you? I'm just relaxing. I know you started too, but we as the social committee, we are there and fix everything. What we do in this program, first of all, we launched this. We have a booth set up in the mall across our building. Alliance Church is right at the corner of Prince and Bridal Town Circle. Our condo is here, and it can just walk to the church. We launched this and we set up a booth, and we have those flyers, and it's a program for the senior. This is the community. The program is for the seniors community, and they're not the seniors from our church, but we encourage all the seniors walking in the mall. We talk to them and we introduce the program, and we give, and then before you know it, they start coming. And the program is for them to mix one another. There are a lot of Chinese, different nationality, and I think our pastor asked for a grant, so the government gave her a grant. And this for the computers, those who want to learn computer, we teach them. ESL, we teach them, and we buy all the different games. And they like to play, different games like Chinese checkers, dominoes, you name it. We set up all this table, and they had also line dancing.
Oh my.
And I said, Nick, come on, let's go and dance over there. Oh, no, I'm so old already for that. It's just exercise, okay? And then we start talking, and I think this man is really a very wonderful father of yours, and very wonderful friend of ours. And we exchange ideas, we started talking about the experience I heard from you, and I heard from him when we sit down at that condo lounge there. And thank you for inviting us, and it's really a wonderful day, and God is good. And we are also Christian here around here, and we have our First Alliance Church, and it's not being, big, but I'm inviting those seniors, mostly seniors. We are having that program. If you like to learn line dancing, we can teach you.
Oh, wow.
Thank you so much for inviting us, and we give all the glory to Him.
Yes.
Who knows? I know He's with the Lord. Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh.
Missed anything? Anyone want to add?
Do you want to say, Tanya, for the Lower family? Well, for the Lower family, Nick is a memory of Christmas.
Yeah, Christmas.
Easter. And all the family reunion.
with lots of food and need me helping. So we even had